welcome to an audio-only episode of Relics of Orr. I am your host, Eric. Actually, you can see my video right now. But this week, we have a huge number of things to talk about, so we're going to get straight into it. I am joined this week by a fantastic set of co-hosts, including Washed in Blood, Melchior Devenholm, Greibach, and Kate, a.k.a. Cursed Violas. So, how are you guys doing this week?
Wow.
I just got a new handle and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I'm well. I've been bestowed this present of a new handle and I'm so excited. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. The real handle. It's a good handle. So, there has been a massive amount of news. You guys are actually going to be seeing some Guild Wars 2 gameplay while this is happening because apparently 5 people doing video crashes my internet, but playing Guild Wars 2 and doing audio doesn't. Don't ask me why. So, we're going to get straight into stuff, doing it chronologically from when it showed up on our news site, on our radar. Starting on Thursday.
I was about to say, whose gameplay is this? Is this copyrighted?
This is me playing ArenaNet games. I'll just lower the audio. Also, hello, Washed. Welcome. So, Greibach, why don't you take us through what things they announced, what they talked about earlier on Thursday, specifically with the new traits and all of the information regarding all that information. Just go to town on Thursday.
All right. Traits everywhere. All the trait points. Previously, as everybody who's playing the game knows, we had 70 trait points, and it was 1 point gave you 10 of a stat, I believe, and every 5 points gave you either a minor or a major trait. So the first thing that they've done is simplified that so that there are only 14 trait points, and each trait point gives you the benefit of having spent 5 of the previous trait points in that line, because realistically nobody ever spent 1 or 2 or 3 trait points in a line. You always spent 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. So you'll have the same total effective number, but it'll just be a little bit easier to manage. And then as part of that also, they are making it so that they've basically merged the PvE and PvP subsystems so that you can just refund your traits at any time that you're out of combat. It's free.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, it's great. It's the way that I said it should have been really from the beginning, and I didn't really understand why we had to go back to town. But
were they trying to maybe create the Guild Wars 1 feel of where you could only switch your build around in town, maybe?
I think it was that, and they were trying to give people an incentive to actually be in town. Because with so many quality of life features like deposit all collectibles and auction housing, you couldn't pick up easily from out in the world, but
yeah.
I think they were worried that people would leave ghost towns behind.
Well, never mind. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's neither here nor there, but they've removed that restriction. And they also, quality of life wise, added minus buttons, so you can just take back 1 trait. If you want, which is great also.
This is the greatest patch ever, everyone.
I know.
Exactly. That's all.
Yes.
It's
must give.
It is the Messiah patch for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this term.
And we'll talk about the new traits a little bit later, but they are adding 1 trait for every... 1 trait to each trait line as a Grandmaster trait, so each class is getting 4 or 5? 1, 2,
5.
5 one for each trait line.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I had to count in my head. Using my fingers and everything. We'll talk about those later, because that's a huge area, but that's great. But a lot of this is part of sort of an improved focus on the new player experience and trying to add different both visibility and significance to your leveling up and your choices. And so as part of that, they have sort of fiddled around with the levels at which you gain your different trait tiers, as well as removing the requirement to go purchase the skill training books that gave you access to the tiers. You just immediately get that tier as soon as you reach the appropriate level. But those levels have changed, and I feel like the biggest change is that you can't get your Grandmaster tiers until level 80, and I find that frustrating. If I were playing a brand new Mesmer, for example, I wouldn't really care that much if I was on a Warrior, but that's sort of more a factor of how specific classes function. So how do you guys feel about that? I know Malchior had some thoughts about trying to improve the sort of weightiness of your leveling up.
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from, because for a new player coming in, after level 30 and you get your elite skill, it's hard to notice significant changes in your power and in your effectiveness unless you're really familiar with the intricacies of the trait system, which a new player won't know about. They'll just see, oh, I have a full skill bar now. Is that it? I had 10 skills. That's all that comes with this game. Uninstall. That's the ultimate kind of far-reaching extreme, but I'm certain it does happen.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to parse out the acquisition of traits more. Like, even when you get up to level 80, you won't have all your Grandmasters for PvE. I mean, you can get them with gold, but the natural experience, as it would be for a new player, would be to do the new trait challenge system. So for like one of the new number 13 traits for the Ranger, in a screenshot it showed you had to go do the Gates of Ara and complete that meta chain, and that would uncontest the Ara dungeon to unlock that trait. I like that it's adding more meaning to the world.
Yeah, I feel like, though, if that's sort of their goal, that they should have given you Grandmaster traits at the very least at 70, so that while you're leveling up, you can have some goals for earning your Grandmaster traits. Because if you can't unlock them until you're 80, and then you have to go do, quote-unquote questing or objectives, I feel like that would have been smarter to have given us at least 10 levels of, goals while you're hitting your last 10 levels than, feeling like you should have them already, or just sort of quote unquote grinding out your last 10 levels so that you can then start getting them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about how it's going to impact the leveling experience for most professions, not just Mesmers. Across the board, not having traits until, is it 30? I'm a little bit confused because there's been so much stuff coming out about the Chinese beta and the changes to leveling that I'm not sure which is which anymore, to be completely honest. Someone was saying we wouldn't get elites to 50. Is that Chinese, or do you know if that's...
That is Chinese only.
That's
That
Chinese.
is Chinese.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, I feel
That
like
would
the
be
leveling
bad.
experience would be really frustrating like that. So
Yeah.
that's good to hear that we'll still have them at 30, but I still feel bad for the Chinese that don't get it until 50.
Yeah, it's challenging because I do know exactly what Malchior is talking about. That feeling that once you've unlocked your elite skills, you don't have a ton that you're looking forward to. But at the same time, I feel like that's because of the design of the systems that are getting added on, because I don't feel like preventing me from using traits is going to make me appreciate leveling more. It's going to make leveling more frustrating because I don't get to use those toys. I feel like if they wanted to improve that, they would need more systems to add. And I do think that the questing for traits is, quote unquote questing for traits, is a smart way to do that. Because that goes back to all the way something back in 4 years ago that they were talking about with, necromancers might have to gain these skills or these traits by finding, the blood of their fallen enemies from across the world, and, some of these sort of systems to make you get out there and sort of earn your skills in a sort of Guild Wars 1 style, and that just sort of fell through.
Yeah. That gives me all kinds of nostalgia. Makes me really happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad they didn't do that, personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they kind of are doing that. That's another thing that's coming with this patch.
Yes.
Is that traits are...
But it's one thing to do it for traits, because if you look at a trait and you go, I don't really care for that trait, I don't need to go get it. Whereas having skill unlocks are much more significant.
True, but they are also making it so that you can buy them. Like if you just don't want to do whatever it takes, or you can't do it, you can still buy it. So, you know, somebody said something very strange in chat.
Fair for everyone.
But anyway, I think mostly though everybody's pretty happy with those changes. Are you guys ready to talk about a little bit more on the new traits then?
Sure. Spill.
Let's move into that. So if you guys haven't seen it, Dolphy.net has actually all the traits listed in a very, very detailed manner from the Ready Up. I'll swap to that really quick so you guys can see that. And there are some really interesting traits going on.
That's one way of putting it.
So Wash,
do we want to go profession by profession?
Let's do profession by profession and just do a really quick overview. So Wash, you're an Ellie. You've seen the traits and some of the changes. What are you looking at? What's interesting?
Well, for the traits that I've looked at, they basically seem like World v. World and PvP traits. That's just my impression of it so far. I don't see a whole lot of use for those traits in a PvE setting, unless they're going to be doing something to update the PvE experience. That's just my opinion, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who else plays an Ellie on here? I know somebody else does.
I'm playing one right now.
So
I don't really
is
know
a good
much.
word, yes.
Yeah. Ellies are a cool class, but they are definitely pretty rough to play. So I think that a lot of people tend to be like, I'm scared. Hold me.
Right. I mean, let's take for example, the one that maybe come in handy would be Earth, the Earth one, which is Stoneheart. So while you're attuned to Earth, you cannot be critically hit. That's huge.
That scares the mess out of me for Ellie bunkers and SPVP.
Right?
Now is that one, can that be tied to the now that one cannot be tied to the immune to conditions one, correct?
No,
it can't because they're both in Earth.
Which is an interesting thing because conditions don't crit.
I would rather take the critical because, like, conditions are already really easy to remove with water attunement and other water traits.
Yeah.
And ether renewal.
Yes. So being completely immune to critical hits is extremely significant. And, right, and like Malkier was saying, I mean, Bunker, Ellie, and PvP is just going to be... I don't know what you're going to do, because not being able to crit where the meta right now is so crit heavy, oof, it's going to be interesting. But that's just kind of the thing. I mean, you look at these traits and they're very one aspect of the game dependent, in my opinion. I mean, yes, you could use this in PvE for, dungeon farming or whatever, but I don't see how they're going to be replacing any of the existing things in my build.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really an Ellie player. I have one at 80, but it's definitely one of my least played classes. I kind of like Blinding Ashes, but maybe that's just me.
Sure.
Coming from a Necro, I love blinding. I guess I just don't really know exactly what the level 30 traits are, but it feels like Ellies have a decent number of ways to light people on fire.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, they even said this in the... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
They even said this in the live stream. These traits were designed with trying to make... give more support options for the classes. And while support's a fun role to play, most PvE can be summed up with kill it quicker so it's out of the way.
Exactly. That's, you don't take survivability traits right now because the quicker you kill it means you're surviving longer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, with the critical, the changes with ferocity and things like that, maybe the meta will shift a little bit. But I personally don't think it's going to. So while these traits are nice for PvP, it won't really affect me a whole lot.
So then let's move on. Malchior, you're a big engineer guy. Like that's your love in Guild Wars 2. How are the traits looking on the engineer?
It's real interesting the design they've gone. They've taken like the elements of the NG that were weak, like turrets and gadgets, and they said, we'll just give you boons for using those. Straight up, like each turret has so one of the traits, fortified turrets, well, experimental turrets. One of the turret. Oh God, they're all boons. Okay, so let's start at the top. Synaptics Overload. The chat on Friday blew up when they saw this trait because they're all like, "ANET's gonna nerf decap NG. ANET's gonna nerf decap NG." What for anyone who doesn't know, decap NG is someone who is like a pure bunker and is not designed to kill anyone. They're just designed to knock you off the point and then keep you off the point with immobilizes and cripples and such like that, so they can just decap the far point over and over again. That way you're never generating points in SPVP. So the first trait they reveal is actually gain 3 seconds of quickness when you hit a foe with a knockback skill. Everything the decap NG is built on, and now he has an offensive option. The chat exploded. It was hilarious, and yes, I plan to use it.
Yeah, quickness is an enormously powerful buff. I mean,
yeah.
it is ridiculously powerful. So I'll be really interested to see how that plays out in the meta.
And then fortified turrets. Your turrets are surrounded with a reflective shield when created. A 4-second reflective bubble on every turret. This even applies with supply crate.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was just
really?
thinking that.
Yeah, so if one of my allies is getting harassed or something, I could just drop a supply crate on point and say, "Don't worry, buddy, I got you. Don't worry, it's all good. It's all good. It's all fine." I can actually see that one being really interesting in World v World. If you get into like one of those kind of Zerg on Zerg, but they don't know, they don't want to go through the gate yet. They're kind of firing fireballs at each other through the hole in the wall or something. No one wants to go through. I could just like pop my turrets in rotation and have reflective bubbles up probably 75% of the time.
Ouch.
That's terrifying.
Oh, there's so many good things. And the experimental turrets, each turret will now have like a different buff paired with it. So the thumper turret, whenever you summon it, will apply three seconds of protection, and it will reapply this application every 10 seconds. So they literally just became like buff machines. If any of your allies come to your turrets, it's like, I'll give you prot, I'll give you swiftness, I'll give you retail, I'll give you might, and they'll do that until they're destroyed.
Yeah.
There's lots of fun support tools here for an NG now, which they can still fit into any number of their power or condition builds. I'm excited.
Very nice. So moving on then, Guardian got some stuff. I'm just kind of terrified about the stuff that Guardians get nowadays. It just seems like they're just hardcore.
Seriously.
So from those, we had Zeal, which gives them the strongest burning condition in the game. They have Radiance, which damage scales from condition damage, which isn't interesting. So they're basically trying to encourage condition builds, which in PvP, okay, that's kind of interesting. So they're probably trying to get some condition in there.
Omni builds are king in PvP.
They
man.
are pretty amazing
Lower
in PvP.
health.
Yeah. So
yeah,
then they've
but
got
not
this
as much for Guardians.
They've got this weird one where you just gain 300 vitality.
Mm-hmm.
So from all of those, I mean, grants 5 seconds of a G to allies in 360 range when you block an attack, which is interesting.
I actually see the 300 Vite being useful in World v World. because World is all about just surviving longer until your numbers overwhelm someone. So
well, and 3,000.
If you have the applied like fortitude buff from killing guards and whatever maxed out, that's already like 1,500 health plus 3,000 more, 4,500. You that's probably, I don't know what Guardian base is, but
1,200 ish, 12 or 1,300. They're tied.
1,000.
I mean 1,000. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Okay, so base, you've gained an extra 33% effective health. That is huge. I don't know how valuable it is compared to other 30-point traits that a Guardian may choose, but just in theory, in my head, because Guardians also have like high regen and protection and things that mitigate damage,
Yeah,
making
lots
that
of boons.
3,000 even more valuable. That sounds enormous. At
Well,
least
and
in World v World.
And the thing is, that's gear independent, which allows you to run more, say, Condi damage spec or a more pure damage spec and still get some decent hit points, because it is like you have very few hit points if you don't invest in hit points at all gear-wise as a Guardian, and that's definitely by intent. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm actually logging onto Guild Wars right now to see what the other 30 traits are for that line, but... Go on, Eric. I guess you can just continue.
All right, then let's go ahead and talk about Mesmers, because they've got some cool stuff coming. It sounds like the Interrupt Mesmer might be coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So excited.
Like, that was one thing that my friend Rabin, who plays Mesmer, he played it since launch in Guild Wars 1, and he was not a huge fan of the Guild Wars 2 Mesmer. Because he loved being able to interrupt and just mess with people, which was more of a thief sort of thing, and he found that kind of weird that he had to switch professions in order to really get the playstyle he wanted. Do you think that this is going to bring that back for him, or do you think it's going to still feel pretty different?
Not in the same style, because you can't see the cast bars of people's skills like it was in Guild Wars 1. In Guild Wars 1, it was more of a reaction thing. Immediate, when you see the cast bar, you do an interrupt.
It was a Twitch. It was a Twitch
It
thing.
literally
in Guild Wars
was
1.
a Twitch reaction. Yeah. Like Ranger D shots had to be applied to interrupt even a half-casted Guardian, which would have been 0.5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it'll feel PvP. It'll feel fine. PvE it'll be useless because Defiance.
Yeah.
Defiance is kind of frustrating.
It's very interesting. Again, this goes back to what Wash said at the beginning, which is that a lot of these traits feel like they're SPVP and World v World focused, because Mesmers do have some AoE like dazes and knock and interrupts of a variety of methods, and so like the ability for a Shatter Mesmer, and I noticed one of the themes of these is a lot of Shatter based traits for these Mesmer traits. The idea for Shatter Mesmers to be able to get on a point and do AoE, not only dazes and such, but then also adding to that extra cooldowns or extra conditions later on. I can see how that could be really valuable in those formats, but you guys nailed it right on the head with PvE, which is that, it's just Defiance, and a lot of the time just interrupting foes isn't that important, or the cooldown rather isn't necessarily that important in PvE. But I could definitely see that trait being interesting in PvP for like team fighting.
See, if Defiance wasn't a thing, I could see it being valuable in PvE, because monsters already use their skills slower than players. So if you interrupt the monster's key skill during a dungeon run, bam, you could have opened up like 10 seconds free DPS for your team. But with Defiant, that can still be a thing, but it has to be coordinated harder, which means I don't see as much value building your entire build around disruption if only one of them is going to count.
Well, and also you've got other things that don't require any traits, like knockdowns or like banish on the hammer for Guardians. I mean, that thing's ridiculous if you actually can land it. So, I feel like that's just as important in a lot of ways. Or knockdowns on warriors. Like, if you're already coordinating Defiance hosing, then it doesn't add enough for a Grandmaster trait in PvE for me.
Yeah.
I found Wide Jar in Guild Wars 2.
What?
Did you?
I'm sending him a guild invite because I can.
Okay. Oh God, yeah, he's stalking you.
So if you guys are wondering, I'm on Northern Shiver Peaks. If you would like to come join me as I romp across various maps. You're about 30 seconds behind on the stream. So
I'm on Northern Shiver Peaks too.
Northern Shiver Peaks is an awesome place. It's free to transfer to as well right now because of Season 1 Season 2 WV. So let's keep it moving then and move into Necromancer discussion, which I'm actually going to stop playing for a second because I want to talk with Grybach about this because I love Necromancer so much. So I'm just going to dance next to Widechar, who has some fantastic hard mode skins from
Super
Adventure Box.
and Sunbringer titles, so this guy's hardcore.
Oh, he does. So he's killed our good friend. I'm also making him a friend. He has killed our good friend, Tequatl. Congrats to him.
Okay, Necro.
So, Necromancers.
Alright.
So, they've done some crazy stuff. Some things that I really like, and some things that I think are just insane. Because, well, that's usually what happens with patch notes. Grybach, why don't you give us a rundown on it really quick?
Yeah, they've done some interesting balance changes too, and a lot of the other classes are getting balance changes to existing traits, but a lot of them are not that big of a deal or major or are basically bug fixes. But
Yeah.
they did merge the one that gives you the little tiny worthless minion
With Death Nova.
with Death Nova, which
That's
is
a
interesting.
fantastic change, actually. That was one thing that a lot of people have been requesting, and it's just a nice feature.
Yeah. There's a new minor trait that increases your passive life force generation from nearby deaths. And then they also reduce the effectiveness of Vampiric Master, which for those of you who don't play enough Necro, that's the one where your minions life siphon health on hit. So they reduce the effectiveness of that by 10% and then are making the healing portion scale off of healing power, which I personally think is kind of a joke, but
It's the weird thing about that is it's mainly focused on the Cleric's build Minion Master, which is really, if you watch the Relics of Orr, not Relics of Orr, if you watch the Sitting on a Couch Gaming, Bob talks about that quite a bit. And the Minion Masters in mid to low and mid tier PvP, and in PvE, if you see a PvE Minion Master, they're probably not that hardcore. Cough. You guys saw one earlier. Cough. I think it's mainly to really enhance the Cleric's build, which is just kind of a weird build, which you found weird as well, Grybach, yes?
yeah, it's too long of a discussion for this episode where we're going to be talking about all new features, but
Yeah.
healing power in general in PvE just has some huge problems. So I feel like they need to fix other
Red
things before
equals
they want to try
dead.
and
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But the biggest, I would say, trait update is that Doomfire is changing. So it's not going to be an on-crit effect anymore. It's going to be an automatic 100% proc when you hit with Life Blast, and it lasts for 3 seconds with a 10-second recharge. So that makes it awesome for pure Condi Necros that may want to not use crit. So if you are using, say, a Dire set, this makes Doomfire an actually useful trait. So I think that's actually a huge change, and I kind of like it. But onto the new traits. Parasitic Contagion gives you 5% of your condition damage heals you.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Which seems crazy good. That's the 30 points in Spite. But that's competing with Doomfire. So I actually think that's kind of a legitimate choice. Like if you want survivability or if you want to be adding burning.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's really a cool choice that you have to make as a Necromancer.
Yeah, a lot of these traits are focusing around Death Shroud, which is kind of interesting because a lot of the other traits for other classes aren't actually focusing on their unique mechanics as much. But we have several fixes to Death Shroud abilities and new traits that work on different Death Shroud. Unholy Sanctuary gives you regeneration for your actual health bar while you're in Death Shroud, which, for those of you who don't play Necromancer very much, while you're in Death Shroud, any healing normally just applies to your, it doesn't apply to your health. And so this is going to be the only way to actually gain health.
Is that on one of the new majors on Holy Sanctuary?
No, that's one of the new 30 traits.
Oh, okay,
yeah. In Death Magic. And then Unholy Martyr in a similar Death Shroud oriented thing. You draw a condition from allies every 3 seconds while you're in Death Shroud, and each time you draw a condition, you gain 5% life force.
That is pretty awesome.
So valuable.
So cool.
Yeah, that one's really good for support. Both because, again, and one of the other traits that they changed rather than added, or maybe they're adding it because they merged ones, but it's a major trait that gives you increased toughness while in Death Shroud. So it looks like they're really trying to emphasize going into Death Shroud either for more conditions or for party support. Because you can already heal allies while you're in Death Shroud, and drawing conditions and making Death Shroud last longer, and that other trait that increases the rate at which you gain Death Shroud from kills. It looks like they really want to beef that up, which I think is interesting, to say the least. I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the last one though that they released, the Renewing Blast, I don't get.
I don't either.
It's what? Okay, so describe it and describe why it just is so confusing.
Sorry, do you want me to describe it?
Yeah, tell us about it.
So another Death Shroud and another healing power trait is going to make it so that your skill 1, the Life Blast, heals around 800 per blast and scales with healing power. So this means that on a time-limited form, which is Death Shroud, using your projectile skill, you have to you have to be aiming at an enemy in such a way that it will pass through an ally to get any benefit from this, and the ally has to not move, and it's a slow casting skill. And I believe you want to be close to bosses or close to enemies, because doesn't Life Blast do more damage the closer you are? Or is that am I totally full of it? I don't remember.
You're full of it.
I thought there was something for being closer, but maybe that's an older trait version.
There was an older one that it was the further away, I think, the more damage you deal, or something like that.
Oh,
but
is that what
I
it
do
was?
believe they changed it.
Okay. Well, I don't use it too much for damage because I'm conditioned, but it's again, this sort of goes to the whole like damage is the king in PvE. But also just in general in this game, you want to be moving around a lot. And so coordinating people to stand in front of a slow moving or like a slow casting, not particularly fast projectile for a heal that is on a time limited thing that is also going to take it in line with the boss, and having that be a 30-point Grandmaster trait is just, I just can't ever see that really happening. But we've got a lot of other great supporty traits, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing I'm just liking the fact that we're getting so many new traits, and the Necro has just some cool ones, so I'm okay with a crazy one. But let's go ahead and move it on to the Ranger. Did any of you guys get a look at the Ranger and get an idea of what's going on there? It seems like the biggest thing is F2 now works to make your pet attack things.
Yeah, forget any of the trait change. Okay, just it works immediately now. There is no queuing of an action and waiting for the pet's animation to finish. It's just like, I tell you, do this, puppy. You do this, puppy.
So essentially, what happened is initially there's in fighters it's referred to as a cancel move when you do something and it just breaks you out of whatever animation you're locked into. Oh, we're now going to follow the jackalope. It looks like. But yeah, and so it's essentially makes it so that it's a cancel for your pet, which I think is a fantastic thing. The other changes, anything else that you guys saw there? That was interesting.
Read the Wind is huge.
It's
huge.
Yeah,
Longbow
that's true.
Projectile velocity is doubled. Your longbow shots will move twice as fast. That is enormous. Like
every other ranger seems to disagree with you.
I think that's huge.
I think it's amazing for World v. World, and that's it.
I think it's potentially really, really good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I don't
think
really
you would
nice.
invest a 30 for that.
But it's a trait line that you're already going to be probably putting some in if you're a longbow user, and
Yeah, it's a trait line that already has lots of other good traits that longbow users have to have for their
it's true. I'd have to look into it. It just seems like it's a potentially good usage of one to me. And I kind of like survival of the fittest, although I'd have to really look at some build crafting, which is remove 2 conditions and gain fury when using a survival skill. I could see that being interesting for making a more survival oriented build and having some.
Not even that. The fury uptime might be pretty good. Because survival skill, I know ones like lightning reflex.
That's true too.
And something else just got which one's Keen Edge is now a survival skill. You use that definitely for its bleed proc. So
do they have other traits that count as a skill so that like traits can affect other traits? Because now that he counts as a survival skill, there is an actual survival. There's a trait that affects survival skills. Have we seen that before?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Where a trait basically functions as a skill, so therefore it is considered it will have the internal cooldown reduced based on.
I don't know if that'll work. Because Keen Edge is also a trait. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the thing is, you have Keen Edge is now is it Keen Edge?
Yeah, Keen Edge is now classified as a survival skill.
Yeah.
But there is also like a Keen Edge that is procced as a minor trait in the marksmanship line.
Yeah. So, but then that means that any survival skill affecting traits will also affect that, like internal cooldown adjustments and
if
stuff.
that's applied differently, that would have to be tested.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because I don't think we've had a trait considered a skill now.
Yeah.
Or is that see, it's Keen Edge. This trait is now classified as a survival skill. So I think that's going to be very interesting.
I think it's just because is that one of those ones that just activates one of the skills for you when something happens?
Yes,
yeah, I don't think that's going to apply any
an enemy to a health threshold.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to apply any like other skill modifiers to it, but it will count, for example, for removing 2 conditions, I would imagine, because it's I think that's what it's saying.
I think so too.
Yeah, so if you have survival of the fittest and you have Keen Edge, when Keen Edge procs, you will lose 2 conditions, whereas previously you wouldn't because it was quote-unquote not a skill, even though it was actually using a real skill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As clear as mud.
As clear as mud. All right. Anyway, but it sounds like it's time to talk to Kate because she loves thieves and thief changes are next.
I do love thieves. So the big one, well, not the big one. I feel like other classes are getting a lot of changes, and this has been prevalent throughout balance patches for thieves. Other classes get huge changes, and thieves get these little tiny nerfs, and you're like, well, thanks for shaking up the thief meta. They're reducing the poison pulse on choking gas from 5 seconds to 3 seconds to prevent overstacking of poison. They're fixing some bugs, and that's about it that I know of, or like that they've announced, and it's a little bit underwhelming to me.
Go to your traits.
Okay, there's traits too.
Oh.
But again, it's across the board, PvP and World versus World type stuff.
I'm sorry.
Well, I do PvP, but I don't PvP on a thief because I don't like the thief style in PvP. But that aside, they're getting revealed training, which gains up to 200 extra power when you're revealed, 3 seconds for World v World, 4 seconds for SPVP. Invigorating Precision is you're healed for a percentage of the strike damage dealt, and the current rate is 5%. It doesn't work on ambient creatures, so you don't have to worry about people massively critting little rabbits and then destroying a Zerg.
Doing 200,000 damage to a rabbit or something.
I hit a 350 the other day.
There's Resilience of Shadows, which is stealth you apply reduces 50% of incoming attack damage, and it doesn't work against condition damage.
That one sounds so good.
Yeah, acrobatics is Assassin's Equilibrium, where you gain 1 second of stability when you're revealed, which is actually super nice because the thief has very, very limited access to stability. I believe the only stability you can proc for yourself currently is on Dagger Storm, and of course you can't do anything else while you're doing Dagger Storm. So it's nice to see that we are getting a little bit, but obviously it'll encourage very smart plays because, it's only a second. So you'll have to be really clever to use it well. And then the trickery line is stealing applies 5 stacks of confusion for 5 seconds, which is, it's nice that we'll have, or you can trait all the way into stealing and it'll do stuff for you. So I kind of like that idea. Again, not going to shake up my build really at all because the lines that I have 30 trait points in are not going to be changing. I'm not going to take Invigorating Precision over Executioner when I can get a flat 25% damage boost for enemies under 50% health. I'm not going to take a healing thing because I can keep myself alive in PvE with Berserker gear. So, yeah, not going to shake up my build, but hopefully people can find uses for these. And I know the counterplay with Revealed is going to be big in PvP. I really like the trade-off that there is a trade-off there. Maybe I will take my thief into PvP now and try it out, but I'm more of an NG person in PvP, to be honest.
Resilience to Shadows is going to be so good in World v World. Oh,
That's
because
true.
okay, for anyone who can't read, the trait reads stealth you apply, not like when you gain stealth you apply. So that implies it also works on allies, giving all of your allies that are stealth would do 50% damage reduction.
Yeah, which is huge.
You know
that'll be awesome for
You know
World
who
v
that'd be a
World.
really cool trait for? Mesmers.
That'd be
Right.
scary for Mesmers. Don't mention that.
Whatever. An elite skill and a veil, like that's
Bad.
that's giving up.
bad,
That's giving up.
bad.
And
lot
then you
more
drop
than-
them through a portal onto other people.
Yeah, that's tight.
That's exactly
As soon as
why
they
it's
attack, they
bad.
lose stealth, though. Like,
Yeah.
once you start attacking, you lose stealth. So, I mean, it's not like you're invincible for 5
Doesn't
seconds.
matter. You're on top of the foe now. That's the whole point. That's what portal bombs do.
Yeah, but the stealth change doesn't really change. Anyway, whatever. Warrior.
Stop
Right.
it.
Warrior.
things happened.
Warrior's gonna blow stuff up like they
Oh,
always
man,
have.
like always, exactly.
Well, they nerfed healing signet. Eh?
Glad of that, and then
Is it enough to make a difference, though?
it won't matter because warriors will just come in and one shot your face with burst precision.
See, but you could already do that with sigil swapping. Like, I believe, right?
There
Yeah,
was
well,
something that would guarantee a
That's been
crit.
since beta. That's been something since beta where people swap to axe with that swap sigil on so that they can then get 100% eviscerate. Like,
Yes, yeah.
I feel like that is a reasonable trade-off for a 30-point trait that is effectively a sigil that could do it. I actually think that's fine. Yes, it's powerful, but it again,
For
a
anyone
30-point
who's
trait, I think it's okay.
Curious what we're talking about, like the new strength trait, burst precision, burst skills have an increased chance to critically hit, and right now that chance is 100%. Now I think they're willing to change it. I don't think they're willing to change it now, but they kind of wrote it this way. So if they have to change it within like a week or a couple weeks, it's like, all right, we just changed this number. That way they don't have to relocalize any text.
Yeah. I mean, aren't there already really good 30 traits anyway, though, for in strength?
Yes.
I mean, again, like there is an opportunity cost because it is a good trait line. Like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm okay with it. I actually think dual wield agility is really interesting, though, because as far as I know, it is the only trait to passively, or it's the only way to passively increase your attack speed.
Isn't
Always. Well, right, but always. Like, you just
I
always
know.
attack faster.
That's really interesting. And it's weird, 10% sounds like a very low number when you consider most IASs in Guild Wars 2 was 25%, and the
Yeah.
best ones, which was Frenzy, was 33%, but you had to take double damage to use that. So I'm really intrigued how effective 10% is going to feel.
I'd be really interested to see how it works out with Sword, because Sword essentially can be spec'd for a bleeding like build, and so applying conditions faster is kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, yeah, we'll have to see how it turns out. It's a new direction though, and I kind of like it. What do you guys think of Rousing Resilience? Gives you up to 1,000 toughness when you stun break, and it lasts for 4 seconds. Eh?
I don't know.
It's red, it's dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
I think that could be useful in World v World, but I feel warriors in World v World have other options, like you take Endure Pain for that.
Yeah,
So you can just
That's
avoid
true.
all damage and run into someone's face.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And I'm not super keen on the other two. I think they're kind of just like granting might to your allies around you is neat and all, but like it's only for 6 seconds, and you're not going to be stacking. I mean, yeah, the main ways that you would give your allies might already gave them to allies.
Yeah, exactly.
So, or you know,
But doesn't it just duplicate all of the might that you can send out?
Yes.
So a blast finisher is now 6 stacks of might
Yes.
as opposed to 3,
Yes.
which is incredible for might stacking. And to
Yes.
me, that sounds like one of the few traits that might actually
that's
become
with-
prevalent in
That's
PvP or
with
PvE. rather.
one warrior. I
Yeah.
see this being
So the warrior
amazing.
stacking is going to be incredible.
100% blow up everything in SPVP, because at the start of a match you will have an Ellie drop a fire field and 2 warriors will just like, and then the thief will just like fire his cluster bomb a couple times, and because remember it's 6 for 1 warrior, so now it's 12 for 2. 2 cluster bombs in that fire field.
but that's only granting
equals-
yourself might though. The trait only gives it when you grant yourself might, not when you are granted might.
Okay, so the warrior would have to do. Okay, the warrior would have to do the blast finisher. They
But
have
doesn't that-
access. They have access to that.
They do.
The hammer bow warriors, don't they have the blast finishers to do that?
That's
The
true.
warrior does, but he needs adrenaline. So
Oh, that's true.
without that, yeah, the hammer could.
But
But
somebody could drop a fire field, right?
yeah, or you could just use banners. But yeah, 2
Right.
warriors, 24 might, instantly.
Yeah, that's huge.
I'm scared. I mean, people already got max might, but they did it with a lot of methods. Now it's just take this trait and hi. If I have a friend, everything dies now.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and move on to discussing the changes to sigils and runes. What do you guys think of this stuff? Kate, why don't you give us a quick rundown on what they're changing and sort of the overview of how that's going to affect things?
Well, well, there's a couple of big changes. With sigils, it's two-handed weapons will be able to have 2 sigils on them. So
Finally,
you're no longer off for having a
God.
two-handed weapon.
My
Additionally-
engineer is crying.
Additionally, the cooldowns all play much nicer with each other, because like previously, if you had weapons with unswapped sigils, for example, and you swapped your weapon, both would go on cooldown. So one of those sigils was completely useless. Now they play nice with each other. Sigils of fire and air also play nice with each other. The cooldowns are independent. Stuff like that is all very nice quality of life fixes, and they've done updating to the tooltips to make it more understandable, more visible what each sigil does and what will cause it to go on cooldown. With runes, they're encouraging. They don't want mix and match sets anymore because it's tough to balance. It's tough for new players to understand. So they backloaded all of the really useful stats onto the 5 and 6 bonuses. So you're encouraged to build a full set of runes instead of piecemeal sets. You'll still need all 6 runes in PvE and World versus World, but in PvP, you just have one rune slot, like your amulet, where you put a rune in and it's blanket across your build. So that's a nice quality of life improvement too.
Yeah. I mean, I know it would mess with the economy, but that's kind of how, as soon as they started talking about all these changes, I wish they just went ahead and did that in PvE also. Because as much as you might say that that you could mix and match still, it seems pretty clear that they intentionally want us to only go 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
So, like, if that's the design intent, I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's just
I
me.
wouldn't
I
mind seeing
feel
that.
the reason. Okay.
Well, one of my big gripes with runes has been the how to explain the disparity in prices between the obtainable ones first of all, and then the ones that are good and the ones that are bad. I mean, runes can run you anywhere from 6 gold per rune to 3 silver.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
more
would really
10
like to
gold
see
for
some.
Celestial, right?
Yeah, that even too. So I'd really like to see some balance when it comes to obtaining runes as well as, what the runes actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean you can talk. I guess part of that's going to be changed by the fact that they're making a lot of these runes more viable.
Mhm.
So I mean, if you want to talk about that, like,
Yeah. The thing that's weird is how now it's just like one rune to change your PvP build. It's all combined into one set. But in PvE, like, it's still separate items. So ideally, you could still mix sets. It may not be as effective, but it's possible if you want to achieve a certain type of build.
Mhm.
I feel they just did that to save resources and save time. Because even the runes that they showed on the stream, they're all still given like their 6 slot values
yeah,
when they gave the descriptions. Instead of put this set on, you get all this stuff. It's like put 1 on, you get this. Put 2 on, you get this. That way they didn't have to change however many items in PvE to accomplish this.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, yeah, and I haven't looked incredibly extensively at what some of the new changes are, but I do like the idea that they feel that there's too many runes that are kind of duplicated. They basically do the same thing as other runes, and that they've stated that they're actively trying to work to make certain runes actually have more of an identity and do something.
I like that each one is now fitting a theme.
Right.
Like
exactly.
they said, the theme of the Balthazar set is going to be burning, burning, and more burning. If you want burning, Balthazar will help you burn all the burn.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I think those are great changes. I don't think we know enough of them to really comment on too many of the changes. But like I said, I think those are good. I think those are good changes to runes, and I mean sigils. Again, like Kate said, there's mostly quality of life stuff, and I don't think there's really anything to complain about with any of the sigil stuff. Like, they're pretty much just getting flat out either buffs or fixes. So, there's really not a lot to talk about, I would say, about those things.
Yeah. We got to see that in action.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have enough details, but the details that we have, we basically know that there's not going to be anything too objectionable. So,
Well, there is one thing, like the stacking sigils. You won't be able to like swap a weapon with your inventory to
Right.
preserve those stacks anymore. You can
Yeah.
you can still swap it via like weapon swap function or attunement swap or kit swap, NG, but you won't be able to like. I have my rifle, that's a word. Rifle. I'm gonna stack up 25 bloodlusts. Then I'm gonna go to my inventory and put my pistol and shield on, so I still have my 25 bloodlust. Nah, that ain't a thing no more.
Yeah, and honestly,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean,
I think that's fair too.
kind of how it should be.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I'm not gonna call it like an exploit or anything, or even necessarily a bug, but it seemed to me fairly clear that it was not intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think the vast majority of players are gonna care about that. Like, most people aren't carrying an extra weapon just to sigil stack so that they can then swap off of that weapon and stack another sigil. I think that's great. So you guys want to move on to all the exciting stuff?
Oh
from
my
today?
goodness! Today was essentially a massive explosion of information, which I think a lot of people have been waiting for a while.
Yes.
So they talked about account bound dies, they talked about a wardrobe system. Malchior, why don't you tell us a little bit about how account bound dies are working and what changes are going to happen to the die system?
All
got
right,
this, Mal.
so yeah, I got this. I got it, guys. So account bound dies. First off, let's all just let out a happy yay.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing.
So good. So good.
I mean, originally it was promised before release, but then sometime later it was like, no, character bound. Sorry, limitations, whatever. Let's ignore all that ever happened. Account bound dies now.
Whee! So happy.
The way it'll work is on patch day, you have all your dies will be merged into one account panel, which will be a part of the wardrobe system area that they're developing. They'll all be merged across all your characters as you log into each one of them.
Just like the wallet where you had to log on.
Just
each
like
one
the wallet where you had to
merge it in.
do it individually, yes. And then for any duplicate dies, so let's just use blue. You had blue on 2 characters, or let's say blue on 5 characters, because we're cool like that.
Yeah, blue's easy to get.
Yeah. So you got blue on 5 characters.
You get 2 of them
Character
in green every
one
time you
logs
open a
in.
chest.
Character 1 logs in.
Wash and Charge just demonstrated that by opening the chest and getting a green.
Wow. Character
Sorry.
1 logs in, and now you have blue unlocked in the account panel. When character 2 logs in, you will get an unidentified die to compensate for having blue on another character, since dies are getting merged now across them all. Character 3 logs in, you'll get an unidentified die for character 3 already having blue. And this is only if they have it unlocked in the panel, not like if you had a blue die bottle but never applied it.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of die value has been added to the market.
Yeah.
Market
do-
kind of went boom this morning.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
putting it mildly.
Entire
feel-
colors sold out. Within an hour, all of the blue colors were gone. Within an additional 30 minutes, when I say blue, I mean blue rarity. Within the extra 30 minutes, all of the green rarity colors were gone.
Yeah. I do feel a little bit, I mean, and this is something that we've talked about lots of times, no one solution is going to be perfect for everybody. It is a little bit sucky if you had bought multiple of the expensive dies before and unlocked them. If you bought Abyss twice, an un-ID'd die is zero compensation for that. But it's going to be great for those of us that had a lot of cheaper dies that we were irritated we had to keep rebuying.
Yes.
And, I guess the same thing that I would say, which will come up later with the wardrobe, is that, part of the simple fact is that at the time that you bought it, and for quite a long time, unless you bought it within the
It was
last couple of
valuable.
days, it was valuable, and you bought it because you wanted it on those characters, and you got to get the reward from having that, or the personal reward, as it were, from having that the whole time. And yes, it does suck if you dumped 300 gold into deep glacial teal, and you can't recoup that cost. But if you were dumping that money, it's not the end of the world for you, because odds are you can earn that much money again pretty easily.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yep.
I think it's great.
On that note, one thing I neglected to mention: unidentified die, when the patch hits on April 15th, will cease to drop in the open world.
I don't know that I like that personally.
Me neither. I can see why, and this is. I was thinking, I'm like, this makes no sense whatsoever, and then I thought about it for like 30 odd minutes. They're thinking about the absolute long-term future.
Yes.
2 years down the road, 3 years down the road.
Now,
When a large number of people already have, let's just say,
Every die in the
90% of the die is unlocked, you get an unidentified die in your inventory, and it's essentially crap. Literally like zero worth. Even if you could sell it, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't really have value to you. You don't care. So they're protecting the future of the game by doing this. But I think they could have phased this out better. It could have been like reduced drop rate now.
So my main
phasing
question
to like no drop rate within 6 months or something.
So my main question is if it's also going to disappear for sources that were semi-consistent for it instead of pure RNG. And I'm talking specifically about gathering vegetation. In some senses that is a drop, but in other senses it's not the same kind of RNG drop of just like from a mob that we had before. So I will be interested to see if they're including, because they did say that the Mystic Forge and crafting ways of getting unID'd dies or dies will be staying in. So if they kept it a limited drop from only gathering plants, that could be interesting, but we don't really have any word either way on that.
A way to get unID'd die through the forge.
Oh well, but you can craft it, I believe.
There's an unID. You can get
dies.
it through the forge in PvP, but since the PvP things are changing,
does that use PvP materials?
It does use PvP materials. So since the rewards are changing,
believe.
that's not going to work that way.
I wonder if unID'd dies will come in any form of the new PvP reward system.
Yeah, that is the one thing, is because although they did say for Gift of Color that they're going to be reducing it to 100, like if there's no way to attain it in game, that's still in the long run going to be problematic potentially.
Yeah, they said that officially Gift of Color will be 100.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So can I share my thoughts on why or what I think they should have done?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, that's the whole point.
do you guys remember?
No, don't share your thoughts. What were you thinking?
Okay. All right. I'll shut up
Okay, I
now.
guess I'll let you talk.
Okay, so you guys remember back in beta where you had to, if you got an identified die, you had to go into your home instance and talk to a specific vendor, and then he would spend a day identifying it, and then you would be able to unlock that
Growing
color.
the seed.
Right, remember that?
Yes.
Why don't we go back to that type of a system and just lower the drop rate on dies?
I actually really like that idea. I would like a reliable way to get them without having to spend gems or laurels. And yes, cooking is that, but it's limited colors and it's stupid expensive for dyes.
What would that accomplish? Why would we go back to the dude who takes a day to craft it?
Because then it's not affecting the prices on the economy, because I believe they were account bound, were they not?
Correct, yeah.
So then, but it's a way that you can go and do something that is dedicated towards what you want to achieve, instead of relying on RNG, gems, or laurels, which are a very limited and valuable resource, especially if you need ascended gear.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't have, people do have spare laurels, but a lot of people don't as well.
Yeah.
So I would just like a reliable way to work towards it that is
I
not
like it all except for
consuming other
the
stuff.
wait a day part, because it seems all these systems that we've been getting recently is literally about, in a
Time
good way, it's instant gratification and no time gates.
Yeah.
Except for where like the time gates are required for progression, like the trait challenges, it's boom. Like now you can retrait anywhere. Boom. Account bound dies. Boom. Wardrobe, all characters, all skins of the game, collection, go crazy. And then like it seems like a step backwards to have this wait a day to unlock a die deal.
Yeah.
Eh. It would have been a way to keep the drop rate in the game without just completely removing it.
Yeah, that's why I said I would have like phased the drop rate. It would have a reduced drop rate. I mean, all the methods of acquisition would still exist for now. And then as they determined it's getting too high in the future, 6 months, a year down the road, whatever, they can phase it out. But just cutting it like this seems really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's still pretty exciting though.
Oh, it's super exciting.
It's
yeah.
still
Yeah.
amazing.
But the wardrobe, I think, is what has us all up in. I lost my adjectives, but extremely
All up
happy.
in awesome rapture, giddiness, excitement.
It's like all up in arms except excited instead
Yes.
of with a negative.
Yes,
Super
exactly.
happiness.
So,
yeah.
yep. I read, did a quick read when I first got into work on, and just started giggling like a little girl.
I literally
It's
had to be
amazing. I did
first
not.
people to see it, because I actually saw a press post from Massively first before I even saw the official page, and they said Wardrobe was released, and I'm like, what? I immediately went to the official page and found out, yeah, all the articles were there. So it was released at 6 p.m.
6
server time.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
6
server
a.m.
time.
Yeah.
Which you could probably bank on that for the rest of the week's articles.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
that's kind of been their pattern, so, which I'm happy about. It's right before I get off work.
It's right. It's right when I'm still asleep.
Yeah. It's kind of nice to wake up to all the news, though.
It's
Yeah,
true.
right.
It is. The only thing is, I missed the initial flurry on Twitter of everybody getting excited as they read through it. But
Oh,
oh
I
no,
literally
So insane.
said, embargo drop, go, read now. I didn't bother to say wardrobe or anything like that. I said, link, read it for your own.
go.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so I guess we should actually say what is what as we're gushing about it. So the
What?
wardrobe system,
Want to
right?
talk about it?
I know. Yeah, so I mean, it's something that we've all sort of known and or suspected was coming for quite some time,
And wanted.
and wanted it so bad.
Oh, that was my one. That was like the one feature I'd been wanting since release.
Yeah. So basically, everything that you have on all your characters is going to go into your basically account locker, and it's going to work similar to PvP. And everything you get going forward will go into that locker as well. And you basically pay, as far as I understand it, and we don't have confirmed prices, but I'm pretty confident in saying I believe it will cost the same amount as one transmutation crystal to transmute one piece of armor from your locker onto whatever you have equipped.
Well, you say that.
I say that, but did you read my thing in the show notes in response to your thing?
No, I hadn't seen that yet.
Because I believe the screenshot you were talking about showed that they had 64 charges, but below that it says this will require 4 charges. And
Oh, okay.
pieces of armor. So I think they just had 64.
That's
Okay,
correct.
that
You
makes
can
more
see,
sense.
You can see that when you view the video.
Yeah, that too.
Because that was
But-
going to be a major concern. Is like, okay, so it's going to cost how much to do what, and I'm only getting a 1-to-1 conversion.
Because the thing is that if they make it too expensive, economically that doesn't make sense because nobody will do it, and if nobody does it, then it's useless. And sometimes they do things that essentially quote unquote cost them money, but the but it's because it's giving us a quality of life feature
Yeah.
that we're using, not giving us a quality of life feature that we wouldn't be using. So like examples of that would be the deposit all collectibles and things like that theoretically are preventing us from having to buy bag slots. But this would just be, if it was too expensive, we wouldn't get anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fairly confident that it's going to be, since we're getting an exchange of 1-to-1 for crystals to charges, that it's just going to be 1-to-1. I think it's great that they're going to one charge kind of system. I mean, technically, it's going to be a little bit more expensive if you want to kit out your lower level.
Still there? That's not good. You guys hear me? Hello, Malchior. Nope, busy. They're all busy. Doop doop doo doop. So, how about that wardrobe change? There we go.
We can rebuild.
Testing.
All right, we're back. Keep going. Go, Grybot, go.
Well, okay, so where did it cut me off?
I have no idea. I was trying to kill
I was
champion.
amazed with the charges. Blah 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 blah.
Moving
Okay.
to a one charge system or something.
Yes.
One charge system. All right, I'll make it shorter this time. Are we back on air?
Yes, mine is washed, but we'll restore it as we go.
Okay, but people can hear me now, basically.
Yep.
Okay, so to make it short, I think it was annoying to have two different kinds of stones before, and moving to just one kind is better, both logically and convenience-wise. And I think it's great that they're essentially refunding us at a rate of 3-to-1 of stones to crystals once the system comes out. So I think that was a great move all around. That's what I was going to say about that.
Yes.
I do think it's interesting. I think that the one issue that has people really split right now is legendaries. Some people, like myself, and I would guess most of us on the show, think it's awesome that we'll be able to have our legendaries on all of our characters. But there's definitely a crowd of people that is really against it because they feel like legendaries are already too diluted and not really showing enough prestige, and that being able to put it on all your characters is going to make them even more common. But I don't know. Well, like I guess I have my own thoughts on that.
I think
But
that ship had already sailed when people could buy their legendaries, and there wasn't much effort once the market started getting cluttered and T6 mats dropped, ascended crafting. I think that ship kind of sailed.
yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm a little bit split on the whole buying your legendary thing because, on the one hand, yeah, you can just buy it completely. On the other hand, really the only thing that at this point was something that you couldn't buy was map exploration, and honestly, I don't view map exploration as that big of an achievement. It's something that I enjoy doing, but
Now you can't even you have to at least get, I think, rank 15 in World v World, which really ain't much, but it's
but you
there.
can buy that too. You don't have to have ever participated in World v World. You can buy that with laurels, which is 15 days, or like 15 days worth.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, and you mean, yeah. Anyway, so that's, to me, it's, and I think somebody put it well that, basically, legendaries show that you as a person have made an accomplishment, not that you as a character have made an accomplishment, and I'm fine with that. I am
okay
fine
with
with
that.
saying I got my super pimp sky greatsword, and I like it, and I want it on my characters, and like I don't want to have to just choose a quote unquote main that I put all my stuff on because that's the only way that I'll get this prestige. And effectively, as far as like proliferation of legendaries, people being concerned that we'll see them everywhere, we already see them everywhere. And the reason for that is because since it's stuck on one character, you're just going to play your character that has all your legendary crap on him. Like, so you're going to be playing them anyway. Now all we're going to be seeing is different classes with them rather than
you know what we need to do, and we need to organize this across all the servers. On patch day, even while everyone freaks out with the wardrobe and all that stuff, we have I want to say Queensdale, but freaking Champ Train. We have a legendary party in Queensdale where we all show up with like brand new level 2 tunes brandishing legendaries in the starter maps.
Oh, meet up in the dream. Like the level
Meet
the
up
level 0.
in the dream.
The level 0. Like that guy that leveled to 80 in the dream. So amazing.
Oh, is it a dream? I can't tell. It might be a nightmare.
I do want to say something. I guess, yes, legendaries are more of a personal achievement than a character achievement. But I feel that kind of achievement that legendaries aren't is now lacking, and ArenaNet needs to address that. I mean, we've talked about this since launch. There is no item in the game that I go out and I say, look at me, I am awesome because I built this, and someone next to me can't say, well, I'm rich, so I bought that with gems.
Super Adventure Box hard mode skins.
Yes, those,
okay,
but then they're time
Saps-
limited, so if you weren't in there the 2 months that it was available,
It's
then
like the
you
sap
can't get it.
skins and the fractal skins.
I do
true.
really like those,
are
but
the
in
only
Fractal's
ones that
problem
apply
is
right now, in my
the
opinion.
RNG.
Honestly, though, I don't know. It must just be a completely personal outlook thing because to me, I never assumed that somebody dropped $1,000 on buying a legendary.
But you know about Dr. Legendary, right?
Yeah,
I
there's
assume
one
everybody
guy.
thought they're
Yeah.
legendary.
Do you really?
I
Do you
just-
assume
yeah,
that I
yeah.
spent
Everyone
$2,000 on my legendary?
Especially
was a-
people with like 2 or
there's
more
some-
legendaries, I assume that they have.
At this
a really
point,
nice
I
job.
assume if someone has 1 or 2 legendaries that they just worked on it really hard because I know a lot of people who do that.
Yeah, if they have one.
That's
or two,
what I think is so crazy is that
it's
you
cool,
guys think
but, like, there's this forum thread, this person who says, I have 15 legendaries, I have 3 incinerators. I'm like, well, obviously you know how to make money, so this won't affect you that much, and you probably made it all back on the die market.
Yeah, that's true. But making, yeah, I guess like I don't jump to cash. Maybe gold farming, sure, like gold farming or auction housing, but I just don't believe that there is much of enough of a population to discount that. There is, I would say, in every other game, there's just as much of a population that would have just bought an account that had those things if you had to have them on accounts. Because I definitely know people that bought accounts because those accounts had, insert, you had to be on the account to get this item or this title. And I would say there's at least as many people doing that as people that would have spent their money on a legendary. Like real money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, auction house playing versus real achievement, that's true. That's definitely going to be a problem.
All right. What's next?
So I think the wardrobe changes were pretty much the huge thing. So I want to know what you guys want to look like. What are you guys going to do with it?
Oh, God.
I am going to duplicate my bolt across my account and make all of my characters into a rolling lightning storm of death.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I'm
have
going to
already.
get rid of all the skins I have in my bank.
Oh,
Yes.
thank God. Yeah.
Oh, my bank space is. Oh, yay! I'm gonna relieve so many slots.
Yeah, that's a big one for me.
Yeah, slots is a big one. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the Asuran cultural weapons that you get like dropped in the starter zone. So I've bought every single one of those, and I have them. I'm planning on putting on a bunch of my characters.
I honestly, cultural armor is something that's so expensive that I basically never really viewed it as worth it because I already liked how all my characters looked. But now that I'll be But now that I'll be able to do that, I might actually buy some cultural armor with the intent that I can switch to it for a few bucks.
I
at a
was
given
considering
time.
that as well, Gray. Yeah.
And same thing with the legendary. It's actually affecting because I'm at the point where I don't have a lot else to spend money on in this game, and I have enough for just about any precursor. And before I was kind of like, do I really want another legendary on my guardian, or do I want it on like one of my other characters? And now it's actually definitely affecting me saying, well, a scepter can be used on 3 of my mains, and I already have a greatsword on all of my greatsword using characters that they'll use now. And so it's definitely driving things that I am thinking about spending gold on, which I think is a really interesting behavior.
It's not gold for me, but a lot of us in Relics earlier were talking about revisiting all the dungeons enough to get the dungeon armor sets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need dungeons, join up with Relics because we're going to be running a whole lot of them starting April. We already do, but April 15th we're going to be running more, and we're going to be running the paths
I'm
that
definitely
you
gonna get
might not expect.
all my dungeon sets now.
Yeah, same here. Exactly. I mean, it's really gonna hit that Pokemon age. Gotta catch them all. Gotta dress them all.
Someone within the first week, probably at the most, at least, but most, someone will make a YouTube video, post it on Reddit, and show their entire collection filled, all 2,000 something skins across all
sure.
classes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at guys. I mean, and I haven't seen him here in a long time, but Dantain, I remember originally had every single heavy armor set in the game, and that was before a wardrobe.
All armor sets.
No,
So-
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So
so-
people are gonna have that
Even
without a doubt.
Take the gym store skins, some of them that could only be used for one
Yeah, single use.
ever, and they're
Yeah.
gonna have them all. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, the fact now that I can buy a skin and I can have it on every single one of my characters for free, why was that not there to begin with? That's why I haven't bought anything, because it's like I play multiple characters and I don't want to waste the time or money on buying multiple sets.
I was
just
going this morning. I was
shield, and I'm so giddy that I get to use it on my energy and warrior and guardian.
I mean, you'll have to pay a couple bucks, because you'll
Yeah.
still have to use charges. But
Well,
Yeah.
except for the fact that here's
They
another
said that you
huge
didn't have to use
I
charges.
have used.
Another huge thing that's going to be coming as well is the fact that those useless basic ones that did not work for your characters when they, hit 80 are now going to be useful.
what?
Yes.
Which one's he talking about?
All of those basic
Converting the
keystones,
charges.
they're
Oh, yeah,
going
yeah.
to work on level 80 gear, which if you're T-stoning non-level 80 gear, you're probably
Doing it wrong.
Save
Doing
all
it
your
wrong.
keystones and charges until or crystals until after the update. Yeah, T-stones are gonna transform into the new charge system at a 3 stones for 1 charge rate, and T crystals, which is the level 80 version, are 1 for 1.
Yeah.
And I have 50 plus T crystals back when you could get Black Lion keys from the consortium lady by the statue during the South Sun event. I opened lots of chests with those keys. I have lots of T crystals.
Yeah.
But going back to those gem store skins, like I was under the impression that we would have to still, like if you got the like one of the armor skins, like say Primeval, that it would go into your wardrobe, but you'd still have to pay the charge to apply it to the things.
I don't think so. I think they said it was a
Initial use. I
Yeah,
think
that's what I
you're
thought, too.
good, but once might be for free, but any additional that way applying across multiple characters, you might actually have to pay.
Maybe.
That was my thought, is that it will work like it does now, where you apply it to one character for quote unquote free. I mean, you had to pay for it in the first place, but that you'll be able to pay you'll be able to put it on all your other characters for, like 200 gems instead of like 800 or 1,000, like, which is still huge.
significant, yeah.
Yeah, that's super significant, which is great. Yeah.
I have a question. Well, a question and some comments. I really like what they've done with costumes in terms of you can wear it over your armor and in combat, and they've essentially gone and removed town clothes as a
Thing.
yeah. They're just no longer a thing. Either everything is going to be either a tonic or a costume or an armor piece now. But in regards to like the holiday costumes, I'm sad that I didn't buy them now that they're countdown, but they were just taking up too much inventory space. So I really hope they make a return. They've been bringing a lot of stuff back this month. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Halloween and Winter's Day costumes returning before the end of the month. But
Agreed.
Widechar, you need to present this to marketing or commerce or whoever. Because we can now wear like fuzzy quaggan hats and bunny ears and sunglasses. So, since those items are now retired from the trading post, can we please have like a reintroductory sale of those items? I promise ANET would make a killing.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sure they would, especially with this feature being announced.
yeah,
I would love to get an expansion of things like the different.
Oh my
classes.
goodness, what? Oh, haha, never mind. We're good.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
Someone just linked Meteorologicus, but no, they already have it.
Oh.
Okay.
you can't get that as a drop.
No, you can't.
Anyway, there was another point. Oh, this is my question to you guys because I don't know the answer. Do you have to use a transmutation stone to put a costume over your armor, or is that just an appearance like the Guild Wars 1 costumes?
I think it's just an appearance.
I believe it is a new appearance slot.
Yeah.
So you will have one item instead of one item per theoretical equipment slot, and that item will be the whole costume, which is why we have those implications with the dyeing that we were talking about in pre-show,
Yeah.
where you only have one set of dye channels, not a set of dye channels per item, because now it is one item, and it will just apply whatever dye you put on that one item to the equivalent slots on all the pieces, which like ultimately is not that big of a deal because most people pick out their dye channels and like mirror them across. But for some things, it is a little bit annoying where like you may want an inverted pair of colors.
Yes.
Say the second channel is the outline of your gloves and is the inside of your butt cape or whatever. And you may want the outside of your butt cape to be the same color as your glove trim, but
This is why we can't have nice things. First world problems. My butt cape isn't the right color.
right. So I mean, I wish that it was I wish that it was 6 slots, just like it is right now for costumes, and that those 6 slots just your town clothes slots just became showable slots. But
Yeah.
I guess maybe there's some mix and match concerns. I don't even know.
There must be either like some technical limitations or worried about character identification for particularly World v. World and PvP.
But how's that different than wearing a full outfit?
See, that's the thing. I don't know how that's different.
I feel like
Since
we may not
it
be able
looks
to
like
use
full
them.
outfits can be worn in combat, we've seen a person in the in one of the screenshots the full Winter's
Yeah.
Day outfit wielding Predator.
Yeah.
That screenshot is awesome, by the way. He
I
looks
know,
like
right?
it's a big burly Norn dude with the rifle and the pimp suit Winter's Day outfit, and it looks
As an
absolutely
owner of
phenomenal.
Predator, I approve.
Oh man, all you guys and your legendaries.
I do
Just
not
play the
have one
market.
either. I need to get an
Okay.
axe one of these days.
Oh, I know that axe is so sweet.
So with those changes, that's pretty much the main thing. Now we also have a few more things that ArenaNet has hinted at. Is there anything else from what they've revealed already that you guys want to talk about?
Just super quick because we didn't actually mention it on the show. I put it in chat. There's going to be a tournament. They announced a tournament of legends for PvP. Signups open April 4th, and the tournament itself is actually in the early days of May. The important thing about this tournament, as opposed to previous tournaments, is it's run by ArenaNet, and the first place prize is a legendary, straight up, of your choice.
What?
The prizes underneath for placing lower include parts of legendaries, precursors, gifts of might and magic, stuff like that. So if you're a PvPer, that's something to look into. Though I don't think that many hardcore PvPers listen to our show, to be honest. But it will be something to watch.
Zealots
Going
is going to
forward.
try and form a team.
Oh, nice. You'll have to tell us how that goes. What was the other thing? I have one more thing. I don't know. Continue on. I'll think of it later. Oh, the tournament is going to be taking place after the shakeup of the meta on April 15th.
Yes,
so
that's the best part.
seeing it will be interesting.
Everyone's going to kind of be on fresh ground because it doesn't matter how experienced, well, except for rotations, but besides
Yep.
basic SPVP knowledge, balance is going to be haywire. It's going to
Raw.
be fun watching people try to adapt.
It's gonna be raw. I love watching tournaments right after patches in like every game. It always, because that's when you always get the crazy stuff that even if it's not optimal, just because it's new, people don't know what to do. Like it's awesome. I love it. Love it. So did we want to talk about like speculation for future posts, or is that what you were hinting at, Eric?
Yeah,
I
let's go ahead
wasn't-
and move into speculating the future.
I actually got to bring up the website.
I know,
Yeah,
same
so
here.
do
I
I.
had to bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
what's going on? All right, I'm going
So
to go.
tomorrow is
Tomorrow.
looking for group ?
Okay, guys, I wonder if this could be improvements to the LFG feature.
Oh, I hope so.
What do you
Whoa.
think they would improve? Because I was talking to someone about it earlier, and they said it was still in beta, but I don't really know. I mean, I guess the
announced
existing
it
one's
out of
enough for
beta in the post.
me. Surprise!
I have no.
Uh,
I'm confused.
What was that?
So wait,
Hello? Oh.
yeah, no, everyone's here. Wait, what were you guys talking about? I got distracted. by
The
spoilers.
post tomorrow is called "Looking for
Looking
Group?"
for
question
group.
mark. So what does that entail?
It will allow us to run dungeons with people from Europe.
Ah!
No, but that might be
Ah.
on the 27th. I just segued better than Eric. The 27th post is called "Removing Restrictions," and I'm interested in what that entails because I would really like to see.
Like something revolving, removing region restrictions or something.
Yeah,
that
that's-
would be
that's what
phenomenal.
the crossplay dungeon thing was.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
There's also account bound, which I don't know.
What? World
Right.
Account bound one. Yeah,
Please
Yeah.
play XP.
I want it to be World XP, real bad.
That's probably what it'll be.
Nah, they wouldn't do that. Although that would be, they have said that they wanted to, so that would actually be amazing.
We know it's in development and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. They just haven't said when it's coming.
Yeah. I hope.
Because
That's what that is because it'll be right in time for season 2.
People thought it was coming in the Edge of the Mist update, and it's like, we couldn't have it ready in time. It needed more testing.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be right in time for season 2 of World v World.
Absolutely.
It'd be the perfect time. Like, yeah. I hope that's what it is. I really do.
So then after that, we have a solid foundation.
I'm gonna say new player experience, like some of the stuff that they're doing in China.
Players, something related to the Chinese beta.
Yeah, I would guess. Facilitating friendly play, part 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Raids.
Guild features, commander features, and improved party features. I don't know.
What would you improve in the party system?
Improved squads, perhaps?
That was
Squads
only on the CDI like 2 months ago. Is that enough time for turnover? I don't know.
It depends. If they were
not-
if it was already in development, and then they were said,
That-
"Oh, the
that-
CDI said we should do this."
That's true.
Yeah,
And remember, they data mined the multicolor ones already. And the big thing about the commander thread in the CDI was, Chris Whiteside asked, "Well, would you rather have us roll these out slowly and little improvements, or giant, massive system improvements?" So we could be seeing part of it, and it doesn't have to be a massive rework. I don't know.
By the way, if you're
yeah.
watching the stream, I
Really
apologize for
intrigued
my inventory.
How the facilitating friendly play has to be 3 parts
I have a
spread out
feeling
over
it's 3 related
separate
systems.
days.
I feel like
Think
it's
about
3
how
separate
much
related
information
systems.
dump we had just from wardrobe and account bound dies. All the
Mhm.
questions we had that we still had to have clarifications tonight in some official support page. What kind of questions are we going to have after 3 days of posts?
Well, I mean,
Hopefully
if,
none, because it's 3 days of posts on the same
it
topic.
could be, but like I think Kate said, it could be like day 1 is guild features, day 2 is commander features, and day 3 is something. Like they could be different enough that
Cry and name my first child Arena Net if that was the case.
that'd be great. I feel like it's probably not.
I'm
well,
somewhat
maybe guild
concerned,
features,
actually, if you're going to name your child ArenaNet. Don't mind me, you guys are fighting a boss. I'm just hiding in the background, managing my inventory.
We do know
Sure.
there was a okay. Well, let me talk a little bit, because there was Festival was last weekend. We've been promoting this, forever on our show. Congrats to all the Festival organizers and the people who have participated. It looked like a wonderful time, and I hope you all had a blast, because it looked really fun. Yeah. But also coming out of this in terms of a news perspective, Ramon was one of the German community managers from ArenaNet was there, and he did an interview about all kinds of stuff. It was basically people just asking him questions. We have confirmation that last online features for guilds will be coming with this patch. So we do know they have been at least looking at guilds upgrades and stuff. There wasn't a whole lot more. I mean, unfortunately, he had to give the standard. If you do interviews and stuff in the community, you're fairly familiar with the it's on the table. I can't say that yet. It's always a possibility type speak, and there was a lot of that in this interview. But I will link it in chat, because there's an English translation of it. Oh, actually, Live Spartan already did it, so.
All right, and now we've fallen into silence. So I'm also gonna go for there's raids. Totally, that is a thing. No.
Well, I wish I wish I was so. I've been feeling like WoW nostalgic here lately.
You
And
poor
just
man.
missing, just missing that kind of large group overcoming feature, but not open world where it's just like, oh look, we've got 1 million people here, so we automatically win. I mean, I know they've kind of done that with Worms and some of the other things, but I don't know. It just doesn't scratch that itch for me.
Yeah, it doesn't do. You don't have enough control over the environment, I think, for it to feel like a raid, where random people can just come in and interact with objects. That's especially a big problem with the open world events. People who don't know what they're doing can come in and interact with objects that are key to doing what you need to do. And if someone is just going, oh, I'm holding this orb, what do I do with it? Oh no, and just running around with the orb, and everyone's going, drop it, we need that. It's not. Yeah. You need.
Or people that are trolling the marionette fight by draining all the hammers and stuff like that.
I haven't seen that guy in forever. I hope he's gone.
Just saying. I mean, that's it's obviously a problem with open world events, and so I would love to see we talked about it before, like dungeons rentable with multiple, more than 5 characters, and just have a scale, things like that. I mean, but we've talked about it before. I would love to see more instance content, and that's just not something that the ArenaNet feels they want to do right now. So,
Eric, don't follow Wide Char. I wanted to see if you actually remembered the solution to this puzzle. And you did.
I'm not that incompetent at remembering things.
Do we have to? Oh man, we still have the Living World Season 1 finale. Doesn't it?
I think that
cover
we're
that,
gonna
or
do
should we
that
postpone
pretty short.
Next time.
I feel like we can just. Do
Yeah,
it
we
really-
got-
I mean, there wasn't that much finale to have.
Well, what I'd like to do is at some point do a Living Story Season 1 in review. I'd like to maybe touch on the finale then.
That may be with something else we're working on.
So I think that would be.
Well, okay, so Cast, you should do Cast
Yes.
if you have one. Case,
So
because
the reason
that segues into Guildcast or Guild Mag.
And we must always have it.
So
Okay.
Go for it, Kate.
Hello and welcome to Castcast, the podcast within the podcast about the cast of other podcasts and the style of cast of other podcasts. This week on Castcast, Reddit user HullQ put together an awesome gathering of all the musically inclined NPCs in Guild Wars 2, which I will be linking in chat and the show notes.
It was awesome.
It
Yeah,
was
check that out.
amazing. I had to personally link it to McLean Deemer, like their head music guy right now, and he's like, awesome. I didn't even know some of these existed.
That's great.
Also this week, so I've been talking about it for months. Healing Over Time is finally here Saturday. We're going to be playing video games all day long for charity. The charity we're going to be playing for is Child's Play. Child's Play buys games and other entertainment stuff for children doing extended stays in hospitals and domestic abuse shelters around the world. So that's a charity very near and dear to my heart, and we will be playing video games all day long for that. So you can come check it out here at twitch.tv/Relics of Orr. We're going to be playing a whole lot of stuff. It's not going to be just Guild Wars 2. It's going to be Gary's Mod, Minecraft, Guild Wars 1, Starbound, all kinds of stuff. There will be some opportunities for you guys to come play with us. Some things we're not going to be open to people playing with, but you're always welcome to come watch us stream. Because in addition to that, there will be prizes both for people who donate and for people who just tune into the stream. I don't have a full list of the prizes, but I can tell you that we will have at least a full copy of Guild Wars 1 and a few art books from Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. So those are things you can win if you come tune in to us. There will be stuff like trivia, donations with keywords, stuff like that. So definitely come hang out with us to keep me awake through the night at the very least, because I will be miserable at about 2 a.m. Other than that, in the future, World vs. Orr is going to happen on April 5th. We are going to Zerg Orr with as many people as possible, hopefully not creating overflows, because I would feel terrible if people got left out. Am I missing anything? I've kind of been out of sync with the community this week because I've been away.
Did you get Guild Mag's blog carnival?
Oh no, I didn't. But Guild Meg's blog carnival came out this week. Do you want to talk about that? Because
Sure.
I'll get the link.
Yeah. Guild Mag just had a blog carnival, which is what I was trying to segue in for here, was recapping or reviewing the first season of The Living Story. So we got a variety of bloggers, including myself on behalf of Relics, Ravius of Kill 10 Rats, and
Vereen.
Vereen from Under the Pale Tree. Yep, and several others that I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me right now, but as well as various Reddit and or forum reviews where people wrote more in-depth ones. So yeah, there's sort of a wide spectrum of opinions of varying lengths and varying focal points. So I would encourage people to check it out if you are interested in seeing people's various thoughts on how the season 1 went overall, and to some extent things that people like, didn't like, wanted to see in the future, stuff
They're
like that.
all
So
very good in-depth analyses.
yeah. So word of warning, mine is extremely long. Surprise. So yeah, just thought I would put that out there. Always love their blog carnivals.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, that's going to be our show for the evening. We're glad that you guys tuned in to watch and listen in this case, while a bunch of us also were oh, there's 2 tiers to this fight. While a bunch of us ran content with wide char. And did we got Wash back. Nice.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool, because you like disappeared for a while. So,
Yeah, my computer hard booted.
well, so
That's
thank
fine.
you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys in game. Take it easy. We're
Peace.
waving, but you can't see it.
Later.
See you guys later.
Bye.
All right, let's finish this fight. By the way, guys, we are in the dungeon, in Fireheart Rise, the mini dungeon.
Oh, nice.
Fighting
Post
Vexa.
show.
And in post-show, we're going to finish off Vexa. I'm going to bring
Or
the
the
audio
sharks
up.
are gonna finish off you.
It's true. This post-show is actually sort of part of the show, but because I would like to finish the video with us actually completing something. Well, we completed a bunch of stuff, but yeah, this has been a bunch of fun. Holy smokes, Widechar has soloed this guy once. Widechar is
soloed
pro
him.
at Guild Wars 2.
I've soloed that guy.
Well, you're also pro at Guild Wars 2.
Ask him what class he soloed it on.
I don't know. We're in the
Ask
middle of a
him.
fight.
He looks fine. You look fine.
I am on an underleveled character. Makes things exciting. Why am I using a flamethrower? Why?
Because it's good.
They're so cool. I'm just gonna let other people body block for me. That sounds like a reasonable
I had
plan.
completely forgotten about the second part of this fight.
This is such a good mini dungeon.
Yes. It's funny, all the combat regions are still there. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Hunter is attempting to undermine my chat from here. Ooh, I got a rare from it. I'm very proud.
Hey, congrats.
Oh, I didn't
And
make
a
it.
platinum doubloon.
Hashtag worth.